Greetings and welcome. At my first video of the year, I mentioned I'm really trying to hone in on saving for some cards that are normally outside of my budget. And I've been successful in that so far, and I still have not made a purchase in 2024. That being said, I have made one purchase, and it was for my dad's birthday. So this does not come out of my hobby budget, but out of another budget. I guess it's one of the benefits of having a dad who also collects. One of the downsides of having a dad that collects is that he's also difficult to buy for. He's achieved the majority of what he wants. I've mentioned this many times that Ken Boyer is his favorite baseball player of all time, but he's put together a nice Boyer collection over his many decades of collecting. Baseball is his favorite sport, but he likes football. However, when St. Louis football Cardinals left for Arizona in 1988, his fandom did not follow. And he was left without a team until 1995 when the Rams came to St. Louis, but to only come to the same demise as the Cardinals 20 years later. And again, his fandom did not follow them back to Los Angeles. So out of all the professional sports he follows, that just leaves basketball. As he was growing up, he was, no surprise, a St. Louis Hawks fan. And whatever reason, his fandom did follow, as they too left St. Louis for Atlanta. Maybe it was his age at the time, maybe because he was already a big fan of guys like Big Z, Zelmo Beatty, Pogo Joe Caldwell, and Lou Hudson. I don't know. So when this came up for auction, I definitely had to have it. And what it is an Atlanta Hawks and Baltimore Bullets signed magazine page from 1970 to 71, signed by 14 players: Bill Bridges, Gary Zeller, Fred Carter, Jim Davis, Richie Guerin, George Johnson, Gene Shue, and John Valley, with Walt Hazzard, Walt Bellamy, and one of my dad's all-time favorite players, Lou Hudson, who all signed it twice. It's just very much a unique piece, and you can see it's two-sided with signatures on both sides. And I just knew my dad wouldn't have it. Ideally, I would have loved to have found something similar, only with the St. Louis Hawks or the Spirit of St. Louis, the ABA team, which I'm on the lookout for frequently as I grew up hearing stories about both franchises. Once the mailman dropped it off to my house, though, I've really enjoyed looking at the signatures, and I'm someone who loves learning about the history of basketball. Not just the NBA, but the whole sport itself. I've loved reading each of the players' bios and the short story on the Bullets gambled on their first draft pick. At the bottom right, about right here, is one of my favorite parts besides the Lou Hudson autos. And that's just showing the television broadcaster is Skip Carey, Harry Carey's son. And Skip got his start doing St. Louis University basketball games with Jack Buck. And when the Hawks left St. Louis for Atlanta, Skip followed to do play-by-play, which turned out to be the key for his career. Supposedly, Skip had a chance to broadcast the Blues, but to get out of his father's shadow, Skip knew he had to leave St. Louis. So he followed the Hawks to Atlanta, where eventually Ted Turner would purchase the Hawks, and Skip would start broadcasting Hawks games on TBS, which Turner turned into a superstation, which ultimately led to Skip joining the Atlanta Braves broadcast in 1976. But I digress. And I really like this piece a lot, and I'm sure my dad will too, which honestly, the more I look at it, I probably need to drop it off to him soon before it goes into my collection and not his. So thank you for your time, and enjoy your collection.